Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, once lay awake at night, eyes wide open in the darkness, tormented by the same thing that keeps millions of us staring at the ceiling today, racing thoughts. He wrote to himself, "My mind won't stop racing." Even the most powerful man in the world battled chaos inside his own head. It's a chaos that feels like an endless storm, doesn't it? The constant swirl of what-ifs, regrets, fears of the future, and memories of the past. It's like a snow globe shaken so hard that the pieces inside never settle. Ryan Holiday, one of the greatest voices of Stoic philosophy today, says, "Clarity comes when we separate what's real from what's imagined." That's how we survive chaos. Jordan Peterson, the renowned psychologist and author, warns us, "You cannot negotiate with chaos unless you first identify where it lives, inside you." Because whether you're rich or poor, young or old, chaos comes for all of us. It arrives in the middle of the night, in moments of heartbreak, in silent panic attacks while sitting at your desk pretending everything's fine. And sometimes it makes you feel like you're drowning in your own thoughts. But what if that chaos could become your teacher? What if it's not something sent to destroy you, but to push you toward becoming unbreakable? The Stoics believe that obstacles are not blocks on your path. They are your path. And in this video, you'll discover how Stoic wisdom, blended with modern insights from thinkers like Ryan Holiday and Jordan Peterson, and stories from people who face storms far bigger than most of us will ever know, can help you break the prison of overthinking and find true clarity in the middle of life's chaos. You'll hear about Michael Phelps battling the demons in his mind while winning gold medals, and Serena Williams standing strong while the world tried to tear her down. You'll see how Robert Downey Jr. turned addiction into a comeback, how Mandela turned a prison cell into a place of purpose, and how J.K. Rowling transformed rejection into magic. You'll learn how people like Steve Jobs, Bruce Lee, Maya Angelou, Kobe Bryant, and even Fred Rogers found peace, purpose, and power by facing the same chaos we all feel. This isn't just ancient philosophy from dusty books. It's real, practical wisdom that can save you from the prison of your own thoughts. Because the truth is, the mind is an unreliable narrator. And clarity, the clarity the Stoics talk about, might just be the key to saving your life from chaos. So stick around. Because in the next few moments, you might discover that the chaos you fear could be the beginning of your greatest strength. Michael Phelps stood on the edge of the pool, wearing more gold medals than any other human in history. And yet, in the quiet moments away from the cameras, he was drowning in a different way. He confessed that he would lie awake at night, mind spinning with regrets, doubts, and replaying races he thought he'd lost. He felt trapped in an endless loop that even victory couldn't silence. Ryan Holiday says, "The mind is an unreliable narrator. Most of what we fear never happens." And Jordan Peterson explains, "Overthinking stems from chaos unexplored. You're trying to solve everything in your head instead of taking small actions. Overthinking is like a snow globe that never stops shaking. The pieces inside just keep swirling, and the picture never clears up. It's like Netflix autoplay, but for your worst fears. We spiral into what-ifs about the future, or dig up old wounds from the past, while the present moment slips away." James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, reminds us, "Mental clutter is the result of too many inputs. Simplify your system. Simplify your thoughts." Think about it, the average person checks their phone over 90 times a day. That's 90 interruptions where your brain gets pulled into someone else's chaos. No wonder our minds feel scrambled. But the Stoics would say, just stop shaking the snow globe. Because underneath the chaos, there's clarity. And part of that clarity comes from accepting the world as it is. Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time, has faced brutal criticism for her appearance, for how loudly she celebrates, for daring to show emotion on the court. But she never let other people's opinions become her truth. Ryan Holiday says, "People suck." Marcus Aurelius said that. But that's life. Accept it. Jordan Peterson explains, "Resentment grows when you expect people to be better than they are." The Stoic accepts flaws without bitterness. Brené Brown, the researcher who's taught millions about vulnerability, shares that vulnerability is not weakness, it's accepting reality without armoring up. Life is messy. People disappoint us. The world isn't always fair. The sooner we accept that, the sooner we stop wasting energy fighting reality. But acceptance isn't the same as surrender. Because the next piece of the puzzle is taking responsibility for what we can control. Robert Downey Jr. was once the punchline of every late-night show, his career in ruins, lost in addiction and chaos. But the moment he accepted responsibility, truly accepted it, he began the long road back. He didn't blame Hollywood. He didn't blame the paparazzi. He owned his choices, and step by step, he rebuilt himself into one of the biggest stars in the world. Ryan Holiday teaches, you're responsible for your perceptions. That's where freedom starts. Jordan Peterson says, if you blame the world, you give away your power. Take radical responsibility. Eckhart Tolle adds, freedom arises when you observe your thoughts without becoming them. Responsibility is like the rudder of a ship. Without it, we drift wherever the waves take us. Even Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, grew up in public housing projects in Brooklyn. The odds were stacked against him. But he chose not to see himself as a victim. He took responsibility for his future and built a global company focused on connection and community. There's incredible power in saying, this is on me. Because when you accept responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions, the chaos loses its grip. Overthinking slows down. The world starts looking less threatening. And you become the kind of person who can stand in the storm. Just like Michael Phelps stepping onto the starting block, like Serena facing a stadium of critics, like Robert Downey Jr. walking back onto a movie set. This chapter is your first step to seeing that the chaos you fear is not an enemy out to destroy you. It might just be the beginning of the path to becoming unbreakable. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years behind bars, his cell barely bigger than a small bathroom. The world outside was burning with hate and violence. Most people would have let bitterness eat them alive. But Mandela chose something different. He saw the obstacle, prison, as the path. Ryan Holiday teaches, the obstacle in the path becomes the path. Jordan Peterson adds, meaning is found precisely where you least want to look. Mandela once said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. That's the heart of Stoicism. It's not pretending obstacles don't exist. It's using them as fuel. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, says, what we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. We avoid the hard things, the conversation we don't want to have, the job we're afraid to leave, the truth we're afraid to face. But that avoidance keeps us trapped. Sometimes humor can help us face those fears. As Tim might say, don't spend 27 years testing that theory in a cell. Obstacles are not roadblocks. They're secret doorways. J.K. Rowling knows this better than anyone. She wrote Harry Potter in cafes, barely able to pay for her coffee. She got rejected by 12 publishers. At one point, she was so broke she couldn't afford heating. But she kept writing. And when success finally arrived, she called her years of struggle a blessing. Ryan Holiday says, you have to say, I love it all, not just the easy parts. Jordan Peterson explains, if you wish away suffering, you wish away growth. Tony Robbins shares a similar truth. Life happens for you, not to you. Think about that for a second. Life doesn't owe us comfort. Every difficulty might carry a gift, a lesson, a new direction, a chance to grow. It's like waves in the ocean. You can't control the sea, but you can learn to surf. J.K. Rowling turned rejection into magic. She's not the only one. Chris Gardner, whose story became the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, was homeless while raising his son. He slept in subway stations, standing in bathroom stalls just to keep his child safe. One day, he saw a man step out of a red Ferrari and asked, what do you do? The man said he was a stockbroker. Chris decided right then to change his life. He took the obstacle, poverty and homelessness, and turned it into the fuel for his future. Nick Vujicic was born without arms and legs. People told him he'd never be independent, never have a family, never live a normal life. Today, he travels the world as a speaker, inspiring millions with a message that life's limitations are often the stories we tell ourselves. Arnold Schwarzenegger arrived in America barely speaking English. People laughed at his name, his accent, his dreams. He became a bodybuilder, then an actor, then a governor. He used every obstacle as fuel. Ryan Holiday says, Stoicism isn't about being emotionless, it's about being resilient. Jordan Peterson explains, resilience is built one voluntary confrontation with chaos at a time. David Goggins, the ultramarathon runner and ex-Navy SEAL, puts it bluntly, you have to callous your mind. Suffering is fuel. Though as Goggins might also say, stop whining. Pain is free. Resilience doesn't mean you love suffering. It means you're willing to stand in the fire long enough to transform it into strength. Mandela found meaning in prison. Rowling found magic in rejection. Gardner found purpose in homelessness. Nick Vujicic found freedom in a body others saw as broken. Arnold turned every no into a reason to keep going. That's Amor Fati, loving your fate, even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly. Because on the other side of suffering, there's clarity. There's freedom. Obstacles don't block your path. They are the path. And if you can remember that, chaos loses its power to frighten you. Steve Jobs once stood on a stage and said, "Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice." He was talking about more than business. He was talking about life. Because so many people live trapped, waiting for applause, hoping for likes, checking to see if the crowd approves. Ryan Holiday warns us, don't do it for applause. Do it because it's right. Jordan Peterson explains, the crowd is not the measure of your worth. Brené Brown says it even more powerfully. If you live for other people's acceptance, you'll die from their rejection. We've all felt it. That twisting in your stomach when someone criticizes you. Or the rush of excitement when people praise you. But here's the trap. If other people's opinions can lift you up, they can also smash you down. The Stoics taught that freedom comes from being indifferent to praise or blame. Not because they didn't care, but because they cared more about doing what was right. Steve Jobs built Apple because he believed in his vision, not because the world told him it was a good idea. And that same clarity about what matters most becomes sharper when we remember one simple truth. We're all going to die. Bruce Lee once said, "If you love life, don't waste time." Time is what life is made of. Maya Angelou, who endured deep pain in her life, reminded herself every day that death makes every moment precious. She believed that the weight of mortality pushes us to live braver, more honest lives. Ryan Holiday shares, remember you're mortal. Let that sharpen your priorities. Jordan Peterson teaches, the finitude of life is what gives it value. Eckhart Tolle adds, death is the stripping away of all that is not you. Picture your life like an hourglass. The sand slips away grain by grain. You can't stop it, but you can choose what you'll do before it runs out. Memento Mori isn't morbid. It's motivation. Because when you remember that the clock is ticking, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. And that leads to one of the most powerful Stoic practices of all, eliminating the non-essential. Kobe Bryant called it Mamba mentality. He cut out distractions, trained relentlessly, and focused only on what moved him closer to greatness. He wasn't worried about fame or even winning every game. He was obsessed with mastery. Ryan Holiday tells us, most of what you do is inessential. Ruthlessly eliminate it. Jordan Peterson echoes the same idea. Clarity comes from choosing what not to do. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains it perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Emily Dickinson wrote over 1,800 poems, many of them scribbled in quiet solitude. She never chased fame. She simply focused on the craft she loved. Fred Rogers, the gentle voice behind Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, believed that simplicity was the key to touching people's hearts. He didn't need flashy effects or loud music. Just calm words and kindness. That's the power of focusing on the essential. In a world addicted to noise, notifications, and endless distractions, the Stoics remind us that clarity comes from cutting away the extra weight. Imagine your mind like a cluttered room. The more junk you clear out, the more space you have to breathe. The same goes for your life. When you detach from other people's opinions, remember your time is finite, and focus on what truly matters, chaos starts to fade. And the clarity you've been searching for begins to shine through. Steve Jobs, Bruce Lee, Maya Angelou, Kobe Bryant, Emily Dickinson, and Fred Rogers, they all lived differently. But they shared one thing in common. They focused on what mattered. They refused to let noise distract them. They understood that the sands of time were slipping through the glass, and they poured their energy into the essential. You can do the same, because freedom isn't found in chasing the crowd. It's found in knowing who you are, what matters to you, and living every moment as if it might be your last. That's how you find clarity above the noise. And that's how you become unbreakable. Remember how we started this journey. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, lying awake at night, wrestling the same storm of thoughts that keeps millions of us awake today. He learned to calm the chaos inside him. And so can you. Because chaos outside can't break you, if you're clear inside. Ryan Holiday says, Stoicism is not just philosophy. It's a survival tool for modern life. Jordan Peterson reminds us, the alternative to chaos is voluntary responsibility. That's how you become unbreakable. All the stories you've heard in this video, Michael Phelps battling mental demons in a swimming pool, Serena Williams standing tall while the world criticized her, Robert Downey Jr. rebuilding his life after chaos, Nelson Mandela turning a prison cell into a classroom for freedom, J.K. Rowling writing magic out of rejection, Chris Gardner fighting homelessness with his son, Nick Vujicic transforming a body others saw as broken, Arnold Schwarzenegger refusing to let language or rejection stop him. They all have one thing in common. They faced chaos, and they didn't run from it. They used it. They remembered that the obstacle isn't the end of the road. It is the road. They practiced a more fatty, loving everything that happens, even the pain. They understood that life is finite, and Memento Mori, remembering death, made every moment shine brighter. They stopped living for other people's applause. They focused on what truly matters. They cleared away the noise, the clutter, the distractions. And they found clarity. Because the mind is an unreliable narrator. It spins stories, fears, and worst-case scenarios. But you don't have to believe every thought that pops into your head. You have power over what you focus on. You have power over how you respond. You have the choice to turn chaos into your teacher instead of your enemy. Steve Jobs, Bruce Lee, Maya Angelou, Kobe Bryant, Emily Dickinson, Fred Rogers, they all left us clues. That greatness doesn't come from chasing every trend, every piece of validation, every fleeting moment of attention. It comes from knowing who you are, from deciding what matters, and from living each moment as if it could be your last. So ask yourself, what chaos in your life might actually be the path you've been searching for? Could the storm inside you be the beginning of clarity? If this video sparked something inside you, hit the like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who might be fighting their own storm right now. Let's help each other become unbreakable.
Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.